Good evening, good morning. Of course, I'm going live a little late, depending on wherever you're from, but about to get into it now. Um, NFL had a definite, stellar first half of a Saturday, I could say, for as the NFC division is concerned. Pretty good output from every team. Every game was a close game, high scoring game. Also too, if depending on how you look at a scoreboard or if you view it. Again, pretty well, pretty well versed style of play between absolutely the Chicago Bears and Green Bay, and the Rams and Carolina Panthers. Both teams are actually scored over more than 50 points. Um, Both teams actually scored 50 points throughout the first games. Both teams had also scored about, I think, in total about 600 total yards of offense. Combined. Sorry about that. Again, I didn't know what to expect. I know the Bears going in, late into the second half of the season were doing well. Kind of had a little, uh, kind of had a little slump going into the playoff route, but they ended up doing very much well within holding it together and leading the division going into it. So they have the NFC North, plus they have made the advancement into the playoff round. So now this comes as a more comparable position for them. Um, Again, I'm going to see how their receiver core does throughout um, the whole process of the playoffs. They're going very substantially well. As far as Caleb Williams keeping his poise and making sure he makes all the right decisions, definitely a lot more better than where his rookie season had left off. So he's progressively very well. Waiting to see how they handle the transition going in for the next couple years with them. Again, they're well fit team that can go probably for a nice run. I could probably say. Like I said, very good job to them eliminating the Green Bay Packers, who at some point midway through the season, depending on how you look at them, I have a few Green Bay Packer fans. They're diehards. They've been cheering their team on, I could say, for as many years as I've known them. So again, what's going on, Strawberry Gaming? There's again a always a high expectancy, especially depending on your team, your franchise. Depending on how their history has stood. And again, Green Bay had made a competitive bout. Same with Carolina. I can also honestly say that there was not one team that left. Every team wished they probably had like a player more, but I feel like with the spread offense of the Chicago Bears, kind of like definitely throwing the Packers off. I don't think they had the personnel to skill wise combat what Chicago had dialed up on the play. I'll probably might touch back on the Carolina Panthers and can't say St. Louis, but the LA Rams. But it was just more so. I think both teams had a good poised quarterback that just didn't break their strides no matter what. Stay in the pocket, regardless of how many times. I think Caleb Williams dropped back about uh, 45 times during this game. The run game was still involved. predominantly and predominantly, like I said, involved. Again, it's like more of a flexible on offense, depending on how you look at some of these team styles of plays. A lot of them sometimes will run bootlegs, more shotgun passes than anything. Again, I think we've elevated to the NFL where it's like a quick launch, get your ball to the numbers, type of ordeal. Depending on, like I said, your style of offense and your quarterback of play. I feel like Jordan Love had made the significant amount of throws throughout the first half. I'm just going back over the highlights. When it all came down, it seemed like they had the Chicago Bears number. Not gonna lie, when going into this game, it was tied. Looking at the spread, it was at +1 for Chicago. So sometimes that can easily shift off. And there was a lot of batted balls and a lot of upset, I can say, as far as Chicago Bears fans in the first half of everything, because it seemed like Green Bay was just dialing up enough plays to make everything happen. Again, because they went up, was it 20, 21 the 3 during the first half of the game. So again, uh, didn't think that they were going. I didn't think that they were going to have the greatest output, but they ended up coming back and coming into play. There's a couple of times, I'm not gonna lie, during the year, during the season. I don't know if you're anybody's sports betting fan. I kind of put my faith in Green Bay, but unfortunately, um, it's kind of diminished over the years. Okay, I'm sorry that they didn't get the ball in at that point. But yeah, the game overall was a nice performance. Like I said, from both teams, you could tell where they really had wanted to compete. Chicago, like I said, kind of definitely has to shape everything up. As far as the bunch packages and just like the defensive personnel and assignments, I've seen just a few things. But Chicago, like I said, they stayed poised. They made plays where they needed to make them happen and made the second half adjustments. Um, Again, offense did not look too spectacular during the first half of play, but they ended up kicking in the gear, made tons of clutch plays. Again, Green Bay had applied pressure. And like I said, every time when depending on the style of quarterback and who they are, you just apply a little bit amount of pressure. You get them off the rhythm. And that's what the Green Bay Packers did. They just didn't do it. I was just looking and seeing at the um, first half of everything. Like I said, it seemed like Green Bay were just they were more poised, but Chicago had an answer during the second half, and again, this is any given Sunday, or any given Saturday per se in the NFL. So you never know what team is going to come back out and would launch anything, want to launch anything to go ahead conducively to end everything. And normally, I gotta tell anybody if it's like 21 during the first half, usually it's a shutout guaranteed. But even with the Buffalo Bills from the week 1, we've seen that you can't sleep on no team whatsoever, as long as they have a fighting chance. And again, Chicago, um, going into the season, I didn't expect pretty much they were the biggest. I can't say the biggest upset, but they were the biggest shocker of the year for me per se. One of the secondary shockers I think would have been the Colts pulling through, and like I said, I'm just running back some of the highlights against. So Chicago definitely has they stayed poised. I think the home field advantage definitely helped them out, helped them to stay motivated. I don't know how well that will do for them in the second round. Again, they didn't do a great job with pressuring Jordan Love in the first half. He literally just pinpointed and got most of his passes through the numbers. And Chicago had eventually won ahead and took the team by storm. And like I said, the combination of Deontay Swift and Caleb Williams poised within the pocket kept them within the game. Again, I think if they were probably down a little more, or Green Bay would have carried or got more momentum going into the second half, I feel like it would have been a hard time for Chicago to come back. But like I said, again with Caleb Williams keeping his poise, and then oh man, and then so many people that play factors into the Chicago Bears coming into this win tonight. Again, the defense, if it doesn't have the second half shutout, the break or bend mentality, because um, and a couple of fumbles and plays, they they stay, like I said, Chicago stay poised. They stay true to who they are. I can see individually going into this. Like I said, just questions as far as the lack of offensive style, but again, nobody's team um has stayed has stayed fluently well. I could say somewhat of Seattle, but that's going to also be remain seen once uh sorry, that's going to remain to be seen also once when they hit the field and shake off the rust. Now that we're on the playoff bout of everything, again, special teams, defense, overall, the team stayed poised and wanted to get this win for their city. And I think this is the first playoff win for Chicago in a few years. So it's very well to see that they're advancing to the next round, and they will be facing, I think, the winner of tomorrow's batch of games. So it's gonna be stellar to see. Again, we'll be doing more NFL coverage for the playoff weekends. Again, we're gonna probably get more fluid with everybody. Start of the next regular season, so we're hoping to do more sports coverage. Um, doing more sports coverage later on, and then also producing more content, sports content for everybody going into for the year 2026. So again, if you are interested, please make sure you hit the like, subscribe, and be tuned with me for also for next time for my next NFL vlog, especially for tomorrow's games. And then we'll get back with everybody next time. So take it easy and have a good one.